And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's NBA Observations, everyone. It's Gerald Glassford coming back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and information from the world of pop culture twice a week, every week, wherever you get your podcasts. Inside Sports Fantasy Football, like I said, we're taking a hiatus, but we should be back around NFL draft time. So go ahead and catch us then and catch all of the archive episodes that we have for Inside Sports Fantasy Football. If you did catch them, you would have gotten the same kind of information that I gave out for a championship winning run in fantasy football. I know I did. But anyways, also as well, of course, Joe Soro. Hopefully he'll be able to join us. Maybe he's still on the road dealing with Simblades with the Y.com. Of course, also as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, he's with us. But then, of course, you know his shows. Tomorrow night, of course, there's the Lakers nightcap in store for you, coming up probably around 11 p.m. And then, of course, on Friday as well. Looking to see if he can get mix in more Cup of Morning Joes, so hopefully he can do that as well. Our good friends, the Lakerholics, Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet, give them a shout out at Lakerholics.com. And, of course, our good friends, Empire Jeff TV, Lakers in 5, John Costas, Lakers Corner, Clutch Talk, and, of course, John McCalian and Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, go ahead and give them some love. And speaking of giving some love, please go ahead and give us some love by liking, subscribing, sharing, following, whatever you can do to go ahead and support us. If you know Lakers fans in your life, please let them know about all that we do here in, of course, the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Roy, I was in Summerlin over the weekend. Yes, we actually did a little bit of shopping, and we did eat at a fantastic Latin restaurant. I forget the name of it. They make the best empanadas I've had in a long, long time. It's right near the Earl of Sandwich. So yeah, if you go into Summerlin Center, if you do want to know more about that, yes. Oh, Roy, you should have come up and said hi. Yes, I would have loved to have met you, Roy. Man, if you see me out the street, unless you're trying to kill me for something I said, please, that would be bad. But if you're just trying to come up and say hi, and I would love to take time to say hi to you and talk Lakers with you. Absolutely would have, welcomed the chance and opportunity, Roy. I hope I get a chance to meet you in person. Hopefully I get a chance to meet a lot of people in person that loves us here at the Lakers Fast Break. So yes, I do appreciate it. And yes, that was me. You could go ahead and just shout out Gerald and or just say Joe Soro. Joe Soro would be the key. If somebody says Joe Soro, Stone Hansen to you, you are going to turn around. And I would probably run if I hear that name, but yes, I would acknowledge it. So yes, there you go. So Roy, great to see you as far as in the chat. Hopefully I will get a chance to meet you here in Vegas, but yes, I was in Summerlin this past weekend, but it is the Lakers Fast Break. Tomorrow's game is the Lakers. We're back in the swing of things for basketball against the Golden State Warriors. Cool, bro. What's up? Thor, yes, Thor's returned to us here at the Lakers Fast Break. I want to say, though, the news starts off for us. Before we get into the NBA rookies, it does come down to the Lakers, obviously. That's the title of the show. I did get an update, few updates, for the last practice before they headed out to San Francisco to face off against the Golden State Warriors. LeBron James was given excused absence, aka Cabo or wherever it is that they're at, Hawaii, wherever it is that he's at, flying in late. But also as well, his ankle will be hurting too much from resting so much in Cabo. So he is out officially for tomorrow night's game, which is something we prepped you for, which is something he prepped us for over the weekend. So obviously the vacationing is still extending a little bit longer for him. So he'll be out tomorrow night. Darvin Ham also had an excused absence for today. So hopefully he will be back coaching the team, although some people would say maybe not coaching. Well, we'll have a coach for tomorrow. Whether or not it'll be Darvin Ham remains to be seen. I do also want to mention, though, Christian Wood, something we didn't know from out of the left turn there. Christian Wood has swelling in his knee and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So he is out of the lineup for 2 weeks. So yes, Roy said you were with your wife and daughter, did not want to come up to you. I would have said fast break. Roy, you're always welcome to. My wife and my daughters know my hammy ability on screen, so they would have not had a problem with it at all. They would have been okay with it. Yes, they would have teased me for it for the rest of the day, but again, I would have welcomed the opportunity, and I welcome up the opportunity to go ahead and meet anybody out there in real life. Cool, bro. Gerald, have you ever been to the Zach Baggins Museum? That is such a random thing, but no, I have not been there, my friend. Gerald, did you see the Bad Batch? I'm not a huge fan of the Bad Batch, cool bro, but I may try to catch it. I've heard the first 8 episodes. I've seen all the reviews already. They're kind of slow, so I may get into it on the back end. I may cheat on you, cool bro, and see the back end of the episodes when that last part of the season. Because now the thing that's streaming, they go ahead and they put the one part first, then they put the final part on the as far as the season is concerned on the back end for whatever they're finishing out. So yeah, I will probably see the back end of the episodes, but not the front end, the first 8, because I heard they're pretty meandering, so to say the least. Once again, it is the Lakers fast break, but I do want to mention Christian Wood again is out for 2 weeks with swelling in the knee. LeBron James is out for tomorrow. Don't know his status for Friday. That was no surprise. Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent still out. Max Christie and Cam Reddish are listed as questionable, and Anthony Davis, coming back from Cabo or wherever he was vacationing from, is probable. So here today to go ahead and discuss that and the NBA rookies so far this year. Who has impressed him? Who has not? Definitely that we can tell you already and give you a hint on who has not impressed him so far this year as far as NBA rookies. Our man in the know, Stone Hansen. Stone, great to have you here. I got a pleasant surprise from Roy. I truly appreciate him acknowledge me out there. So I want to ask you, Stone, though, when it comes right down to it, tomorrow night's game, no LeBron. I think it's a more important game than and people should take seriously to get you back on the right track, because all that momentum, like Joe had said, he really didn't want the Lakers to stop because they had been playing I think we said 7 out of the last 8 that they had won, or 6 out of the last 7, 8 out of the last 11, really doing well. Offense is really starting to hum now that Rui Hachimura is in the starting lineup. And unfortunately, they had the All-Star break. So coming out of it, you can lose a lot of momentum and things can go awry. But having no LeBron and Christian Wood out there obviously will hurt the rotation as well, Stone.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Christian Wood thing is not that big a deal to me because although it'd probably be nice to have him tomorrow since LeBron will be out, it seems like Jackson Hayes has pretty much supplanted him as the backup center. So it's not that big of a concern to me. I think the Vanderbilt or even Cam Reddish is a more impactful injury than losing Christian Wood at this point because I feel like he's pretty much dropped out of the rotation. LeBron, I think I think most of us expected this coming into this game after what he had said over All-Star Weekend. You would prefer him to play. It is what it is, but so it's gonna come up to the rest of the guys to step up. Rui's gonna have to play big. Again, we're gonna have to get Prince to hopefully hit his threes. It's very off and on with him, but he's gonna have to do that in this game if we want a chance. D'Lo's gonna have to remain the type of player he was pre All-Star break heading into it. And Anthony Davis is going to obviously have to lead the team. So it puts pressure on everybody else. They've done it before, so hopefully they can do it again. It is going to be a big game. It's going to be a competitive game because, the Warriors are in a seed race with the Lakers. So you're not playing, like a Portland or a San Antonio or a Detroit. You're playing a team that's fighting, directly with you for that seed. So we'll see how it goes. But ultimately, like I said, I'm so far removed from thinking the Lakers are actual contenders that, even if we lose the game, I'd obviously like us to win. But even if we lose, I don't think it really matters that much just because I don't think contention status was ever really in reach for us.
But what if they do win? What if they start or they continue on their winning ways? I'm not going to say the 20-6 level that Joe said, because that, again, that's very gaudy. And for a down the stretch for a Western Conference, in much of the games which will take place against a healthy Western Conference, that's a tough and tall order to ask. But what if they do go on a 18-8 like they did last year, or 16-10, where they try to provide some hope, where that would put them, at the end of the season, 10 games above 500. I understand that you said it won't give you a huge differential as far as the change in your perception, but it could at least be the difference between a 9th seed and, let's say, a 7th, possibly sneaking into a 6th.
Yeah, I mean, to me though, it's just if you're not actually contending, I don't really care for a first round exit or a second round exit or a Western Conference exit, because it's not championship level. So that's what I'm striving after, and I don't think the Lakers quite have that this year. But I mean, the farther they go along, I guess the more fun it is for us to be able to continue to watch our team have success. But I think that as currently situated, I think first round exit, if they go on this sort of run like you're saying hypothetically, then maybe I see us as a second round exit. But I can't really get behind us going for a championship at this point in time based on what I've seen. So I'm not.
And I get that. I mean, for me too, I'm saying you're going to have to give me a hard sell on the Lakers being at a championship level. I don't see it yet, but I do see some signs of a nice turnaround now that they can build upon, that they can go ahead and be at a level where they can compete, where they're not just an early out, like in the play-in, as far as that scenario is concerned, they can actually make it to the actual playoffs and compete in the playoffs. I'm not giving them the title, as some, Lakers fans are heading into the All-Star break. I just think that they are a little bit more competitive level. But again, health is the key to this team as well.
Yeah, health is the key. I mean, really for every team, because most teams have stayed relatively healthy, throughout the season. So, but to me, I don't differentiate really between like Western Conference finals or play-in. Like if it's not championship level, I don't really care that much. It's just you're not. If you can't convince me that you can win a championship that year, then I don't really have that heavy of a care whether you go to the first round or the second round or you make the play-in, because it's not the ultimate goal, and that's really what I'm after, and what the Lakers are probably after. So I think that is the biggest factor for me in not being in that sucks, and it doesn't really matter to me how far they go if it isn't a championship. So that's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully they prove me wrong. I mean, I've obviously been wrong before, but currently that's where I'm situated, and I don't think a big run, a big 20-6 or 18-8 would really change that for me either.
Okay. Once again, it is Stone Hansen along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching and listening. Truly appreciate you joining us right here at the Lakers Fast Break. It's NBA observations as we observe what's going on in the NBA. We talked a little about the Lakers, what they can do tomorrow night. I did mention that Christian Wood has now been diagnosed with swelling in the knee. He'll be out for 2 weeks. Also, as well, LeBron James, due to ankle, treatment, aka also coming back late, possibly from Cabo or wherever he was, flying to during the off days. He has been granted not only an excused absence, but he's also out for tomorrow, which he warned us about. So that was to be expected. But yes, also as well, Cam Reddish and also as well, Max Christie may be back in the lineup. They're listed as questionable for tomorrow night's game. But yes, when it comes right down to it, I think they need to make a statement. I think the Lakers need to come in there ready to play with whoever they have. I kind of am worried about if Anthony Davis has enough in the tank, because he did have to play in the All-Star game a little bit, although, God forbid, did they really try? Maybe he didn't burn that much energy anyways, but still going over there and then having a shortened few days off as opposed to most of the other players may come back as far as it's going, because he has played so many minutes so far this season. I still think that the Lakers can go ahead and make a nice run. Where it goes from here, I don't even know, but I know it's not going to lead most likely to a championship, and I'm hoping I'm wrong too is on that. But saving face, I think, is this point for me, saving face to the point where the Lakers will look like they're a competitive team going forward. And I would certainly hope that the Lakers do find enough tomorrow to go ahead and make a statement and put Golden State a game further back in the loss column from the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously rooting for as much Lakers success as we can get. That's not changed. Hopefully that happens. It'll be interesting tomorrow, to see if I don't really doubt AD. That's not really a concern for me. I think he'll play his part. Whether D'Lo continues the best run of his career, post All-Star break is something that's sort of TBD for me. What Rui can do with, obviously more opportunity, we'll see how that goes. Prince, you can't really rely on. What you get from him is, hopefully 4 or 5 threes, but you can't rely on that from game to game. So really, I'm looking at, what does D'Lo and Rui provide? To what level can they make up for the offense that LeBron is not going to be bringing to that game? So that's the two guys I think I'll really have my eye on headed into the Golden State game tomorrow.
So I ask you, how should I say this? How should I phrase this? I said it to Roy, 50, 40, 80, the Lakers have been. The reason why the offense has really ticked up, and you see it in the numbers, 50, 40, 80 at 3 games in a row, Stone. Absolutely fantastic. When you are shooting 50 from the field, 40 from the three-point line, and 80 from the free throw line, you have a chance to compete in any game against any team out there in the NBA. The reason why they have been on this winning ways, and the reason why they have been on this winning streak, it's not just putting Rui Hachimura in the lineup, it's the total just offense, starting with D'Lo, going on through the entire lineup. Everybody has been shooting better on that end of the floor. Defensively, it's still been a struggle, but offensively, it has clicked a lot better. Especially starting with D'Lo, what is the mindset that you've seen? What are the things that you've seen differently in these past few games on and off, as from an offensive standpoint?
I think he's just been more aggressive trying to get to a shot. It feels like he's really trying to, be that third guy that the Lakers have been looking for, which has been great to see. I am cautiously optimistic with D'Lo because we've seen this charade before with him. He has big runs.
This is the biggest run of his career, though, I think.
Of his career, and it's what, 7-8 years into it now.
Even his All-Star season, he didn't flow this well.
Yeah, and that's sort of my point. Is you got to be really weary of those. If it's taken this long to get to that, generally speaking, that's 6 or 7 years prior of sample size that you've seen that he's not been this player. So are you going to let 2/3 of a season dictate over 6 or 7 prior years that you've seen of him play? That's to me where I'm kind of at. Hopefully it continues, and I think that he's been very good for us. Obviously, I really do like D'Lo. I think he's a very good player. I think he's best suited for a 6th-man role, but we just don't have the affordability to be able to provide that for him. He has to be our starting point guard. So, and I think he's filled it very well. I just don't trust him to continue that throughout an entirety of multiple playoff series. I think that he's, he is a pretty good shooter. He's inconsistent, but I think, he's on probably more times than he isn't. He's our best ball handler, I would say, and probably our best passer outside of LeBron. It's just that he's, like I've always sort of said, maybe a half second shy on seeing different windows as a passer. But I do really enjoy D'Lo in his game. I just think it's best suited as a 6th man, and we're giving him more of an inflated role because we don't have someone to put him above him to make him that sixth man.
And that's what I mentioned, Stone, before, that I think that this would be a critical year for him to see whether or not he can still stay at a starter level or if he would be, equitable to a reserve role. And we've seen that in both. We've seen that this year where he's been a starter and a reserve. I was thinking about it more in this off time, and I agree with you on Austin Reeves and D'Lo. Your assessment that they would both be best suited for coming off the bench if we were a different team. But the problem is you don't have two guards better than them. I think their ultimate roles that they would be best suited on a championship team would either one of them be as a sixth man or together, what have you. But it's because of their defensive liabilities, but we don't have that option. So they have to be our starters because there's just no one better else that you can throw out there, especially when D'Lo is playing at this high of level, Stone.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, someone's going to have to pick up the slack if D'Lo's run comes to an end, right? If he can't sustain this, it's going to have to come from Reeves. It's going to have to come from Reeves. Someone else is going to have to pick up that offensive slack when, it falls off to some degree. So, LeBron and AD are going to take the lion's share, obviously. That's where it comes from. You hope D'Lo remains this third guy, but because of everything we've mentioned prior, you can't really nail him down as that third guy for the rest of the season and headed into the playoffs and even beyond. So you have to make sure that someone else is there to pick the slack up, and Reeves could do that on any given night. But I think more like fourth options on a championship caliber team, right? So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, it's a lot up in the air, I would still say, which is not something you probably want to say 2/3 of the way into the season.
So funny because since the comments were made in regards to Trae Young possibly being brought in or possibly being a Lakers target, the commenters, and you know who you are, have commented on Trae Young not being at that level, Stone, be considered a third star. And I'm not saying he's a third star or not. I've just, he's 27 points, 10 assists right now for the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, his defense has been in question. Cool, bro. May the force be with you. Great to have you here. Good to see you soon, cool, bro. But yeah, I just think at this point in time, the Lakers need to go ahead and find whatever they can as far as consistent offense. And, when LeBron gets back, whenever he gets back, hopefully they can gel. But I agree with what Roy was saying earlier. I think that ball moves around better when LeBron is not there. I think it just flows a lot better. I understand that they just don't have that top level talent when he's not in there, when LeBron is on. But still, there are certain aspects of the Lakers that actually work out better when he's not in the lineup, Stone.
Yeah, and we've seen that a couple times. It just seems a bit more free-flowing. And I think the main reason for that is not because of LeBron. It's because we don't have an offensive system. We don't have an offensive system in place that maximizes LeBron in a way where he's a primary facilitator, getting everyone else involved. We're playing essentially pickup basketball offensively, where we have a lot of LeBron ISOs, we have a lot of AD ISOs, and we're not getting really any ball movement because nobody's moving around the court. I mean, how many times are we on playback saying there's only two guys playing in the set and three other guys are just watching them? It seems to happen over and over again. And I think if we had more of a movement on the court, more offensive sets, more things ran to maximize LeBron and LeBron's passing to get other guys involved, we wouldn't probably be having this discussion. I think we'd be seeing, just as much offensive flow or possibly even more when LeBron is playing. So, but instead, when he's playing, we're relying a lot on his isolations and things like that to really, get us some offense. because we don't have anyone that moves around on the court and nobody that moves the ball around. As far as Trae Young goes, I do think he is legitimately like one of the best point guards in the NBA, probably a top 5 point guard in the NBA. I think to anyone that says he's a terrible defender, I would agree with you up until this season, and I would strongly implore you to watch a Hawks game or a few throughout the season to see that he's actually come quite a ways defensively. I'm not saying he's a stalwart defensively or you need to rely upon him, but I think oftentimes we have misconceptions because we latch on to narratives from guys early on in their career. Same thing happened with Harden. Harden was an awful defender, especially on the perimeter. As the years went on, he became a legitimately good post defender. Same thing with Luka. If you watch this year, he's taken a lot of steps to become, again, a passable defender. I'm not saying he's a stalwart or anything, but he's not a liability any longer. And I think that's the case with Trae as well, at least for this year. And he's probably a top 3 passer in the league. He's someone that I think would keep that flow going within our offense. I'm not advocating that we should or should not trade for him with the assets that we have. Just simply speaking on who the player Trae Young is, and that's sort of my take on him. And I think, like I said, if we had an offensive system and scheme that really implored more passing and movement, we wouldn't have the discussion of whether this team is, more free flowing with or without LeBron.
Once again, it is Stone Hansen along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. The R Bruin 10 says, are we suggesting that LeBron takes more of a point guard role, take less shots, less ISO, similar to what we saw in 2020? Ultimately, R Bruin, as we saw with, what's going on now with him deciding to sit out, he's going to do ultimately what he wants to do. But I do know that the 28 minutes that was ultimately, scrapped, that would be, if you have D'Lo and Austin playing at this level continuously throughout the rest of the season, along with Anthony Davis and Rui Hachimura chipping in the way he has, like he did in Utah, you can play LeBron less. You can make him more effective. He is shooting 40% from 3. So, before we go ahead and rip LeBron a new one, you got to say he is shooting efficiently from beyond the arc this season. He's not just chucking it up, mindlessly, and that's irritating all of us out there. But, less ISO, that would be awesome if he reduce that. The drives to the basket, which were his bread and butter, he's not hitting as much of that as he has in the past. That has been something that I noticed, something that was pointed out to me as far as the number of layups that he was missing. We've also, on the playback, we call it Westbrooking. He's been Westbrooking quite a bit this season. So he isn't as effective at the rim as he once was, but he is still can get it done when he needs to. But your thoughts, my friend, does that mean we want LeBron to take a lesser role in the team? I would like to see him get less minutes. I would like to see the 28 to 30 minute expansion, or 28 to 30 minute regression of his role be now until you get into the playoffs, because I think the way that they're shooting now as a team maybe can make up for any time that they lose with LeBron in the lineup.
Yeah. I think I agree with you that, the drives to the basket are, I think he's
not
losing.
as efficient. He's not as efficient as he once was.
Yeah, and I think that's a result of age. I think he's a year older, and not to say that he's not a supreme, insane athlete still, but he's not the supreme, insane athlete he was, in 2016. There's a difference, and it's noticeable. It's it doesn't have to be. I'm not saying LeBron's washed before everyone gets angry at me. I'm not saying that, but I am saying there's a noticeable difference, and I think it's naive to think otherwise. That he's on the decline of his career. That doesn't necessarily mean he's bad or that he's washed or anything, but it does mean that there's a difference between now and years before. So I think that the fact that he is not the same level of finisher is a testament to age, and I think it's something that um, you know it would be wise to have a roster where you didn't have to rely on him to create and initiate so much by driving to the rim all the time. Um, it seems like Reeves is more of a secondary initiator because he can't be that primary guy that collapses a defense because the handle with him is just not advanced enough. D'Lo can be that. It's very up and down, I feel like. But the scoring is what's been most consistent with D'Lo. But I feel like the initiating has been up and down with him. I think that he can collapse defenses. It's just that he's always not, uh, the primarily the most ideal guy to initiate out of that collapse. So it is a lot of pressure on LeBron still at this age to be able to consistently attack defenses, get guys coming in and collapse them, and then be able to pass out of that. So I think I did say that, Joe. I think it is.
Joe's starting trouble already. He isn't even on the air.
I think it is important. Probably I guess headed more into the summer to find someone that can alleviate that because uh, you as the years go on, it's going to become more and more of a stressor on LeBron to be able to carry such a heavy initiating burden game in and game out when there's no relief for him. And again, D'Lo provides that in spurts. We've seen them try it with AD more throughout the season, right? We've seen AD sort of at the high post. They're waiting. He has to wait for someone to cut because we don't really have a scheme we run, and he's able to find him from there. And it's in semi-transition a lot of times, but to be able to find someone that in the half court that can really break down and collapse defenses and not 100% put that on LeBron, I think would be worth a strong look at some point this summer.
Carlos, welcome. Always great to have you here, and as well everyone else. Thanks so much again for being part of what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. If you haven't yet liked and subscribed, please do so to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the Lakers Fast Break. To answer your question on Gabe Vincent, I do not think we will see Gabe Vincent anytime soon. We're going to see Cam Reddish here and Max Christie here shortly. Christian Wood is out for 2 weeks with swelling in the knee. LeBron James is also out with his ankle treatment, aka coming back from Cabo or wherever he came from on vacation. And then for Gabe Vincent, Stone, the last I heard late February, early March is a reevaluation point. And I think that's probably the best we could say, because I think this is looking more and more like Carlos and to you, Stone, like a lost season for Gabe Vincent, which is truly disappointing. The guy's in the first year of a 3-year contract. It's something that, we invested a lot of money into him, and we have yet to see any kind of returns on Gabe Vincent as of yet.
Yeah, it is disappointing. I think if you had our championship hopes, pinned on Gabe Vincent's health, then we're in trouble from day one, because I don't think Gabe Vincent should really determine whether you're a championship contender or not. But you would like to see him be on the court after you just paid him. It's not something I'm necessarily overly concerned with moving forward into the future 2 years of that deal. He's going to have to recoup his value by showing that he can, put up the production to back up what he's getting financially. But it's not something I'm necessarily concerned about reoccurring. It's not like a major chronic issue at this point in time. So we'll see how it happens. But yeah, I mean, it's disappointing for sure. And I think, it means less. He would probably be a primary point of attack defender on the perimeter, someone that is able to hopefully play a bit of playoff time, because none of the guards we currently have are going to really do that. They all seem to get blown by on the perimeter. So I think hopefully we just have him for next season. But like I said, I don't think you should be looking for Gabe Vincent to really determine whether you're going to win a championship ship or not headed into the season.
We'll see what happens. Again, for Gabe Vincent, again, it looks like, as being reported, obviously he had the left knee surgery for a meniscus tear. And yeah, just really looks like it's beginning to be a lost season. And I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that they'll reevaluate him here at the end of the month or early next month, and he can actually get a cleared return and not be rushed back out on the court like he was earlier this season, which obviously was not in his best interests. You saw what happened there, and now he's been out longer because of it. So hopefully they can go ahead and get him back on the right track when he's ready. And, I was listening to a podcast that talked about the worst contracts in the NBA. They kind of mentioned that the Anthony Davis contract has a possibility at the back end when he's making in the final year $61 million at the age of 35, 36. That won't look so great. But by then, maybe you will have already evaluated him as far as maybe being put in a trade or something. Again, we that far down, we don't know. I think the Jared Vanderbilt contracts and the Gabe Vincent contracts, with their health issues and with Jared Vanderbilt, which Jared Vanderbilt are you going to get? Are you going to get the Jared Vanderbilt at the last week to 2 weeks that he was playing, or are you going to get the first 2 weeks he was playing, dependent throughout the rest of his contract? So we'll see what happens. I have a feeling that the Jared Vanderbilt contract will be fine. Gabe Vincent's, I'm still kind of on the fence on because it is knee issues, but we'll see, my friend. But your overall thoughts as the Lakers head back into Golden State tomorrow to go ahead and start back up on the road again for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I'm, like I said, I've sort of determined, I think, or, have an expectation of where I see the Lakers at the end of the season. So I'm just going to sort of ride out and enjoy the games game by game as they appear on my screen on playback. And I'm not really, going to sweat too much. I think whether we lose a bunch or win a bunch, because I feel like my expectation, like I've said, is not containing a championship. So wherever we end up, I think I'm going to be fine with, just because I have come to that conclusion and I've come to terms with that. But I would like to be wrong. I'd like to see them go further. Hopefully they do. I'm just going to enjoy the ride for what it is, though. I think it's going to be probably a lot of competitive games, especially this final third of the season. Every team is going to be fighting for playoff seeding, and that's going to be what it is. So I'm just going to enjoy it from game to game.
Look who just showed up here on the road, mobile. Well, he's on the road somewhere. It is, of course, the guy behind Simblades, SimbladesWithAY.com, Ox1947 to LakersBall.com, and, of course, your Cup of Morning Joe and Lakers Nightcap. It is Joe Soro. Joe, can you hear us? You are on mute, sir. Your mic is not working. And you're not on mute, but your mic is not working, which some have said might be a good thing. But I'm hoping that we will get to hear you. And I know your fans out there will be able to hear what you have to say. Looks like he's getting back off. Got to hit the allow button on the mic and the camera. So while we wait for Joe, I want to go ahead and start getting into some good conversation here with the NBA rookies, which is going to be on the marquee. Oh, he's back in here. Can you hear us now, Joe?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Wow. Sound scarily. You sound really scary, deep-throated right there. So
well, CarPlay is one of the jankiest programs I think ever made.
Okay, fair enough. It sounds like you were in the trunk this time, not me. But before we go ahead and talk about NBA rookies, I wanted to ask you, Joe.
I am the trunk.
You are. That's for sure. I was talking to Stone at length about tomorrow night's game against Golden State, setting us off on the right track. You do have LeBron James, and also he's going to be out. Christian Wood has just been diagnosed with swelling in the knee, so he'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So he's out. Cam Reddish and Max Christie are iffy, questionable. Your thoughts, my friend, how important to start off this part of the season is with a win in Golden State without LeBron?
Is it for sure that LeBron's not playing tomorrow?
Yep. Yep. He's, left ankle treatment coming back from whatever vacation spot he's coming from.
And that's actually what they said.
No, they said it's the left ankle treatment. I'm just kidding you. I'm on the
I'm going to take a wild guess. I'm going to take a wild guess that he's not coming tomorrow or Friday.
Okay.
And
He was excused. He was excused from practice today, which might tell you some things.
Okay. If that's the case, then obviously the Lakers need to channel whatever they had in Utah against Golden State, and then I would like to think that they have enough talent to beat San Antonio on the back end of a back-to-back on Friday. If they end up winning both games, then it becomes an asset in terms of not having LeBron play for what, 2 weeks? Solid 2 weeks.
That's outside of the All-Star game, but that was just running up and down for 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was. I don't. Oh boy, that's a topic in its
Yes.
its own. I don't know if this is going to be like baseball, where you've got a rhythm going, you've got momentum going, and then all of a sudden you start crapping the bed. Guys like D'Angelo Russell or Austin Reeves, I don't see that happening. And if it does happen, then this was inevitable that this was going to go away at some point. But AD is going to be the pillar here. Golden State seems to be a team that we continue to play well against, regardless of whether we have LeBron or AD or both or none. But it's a crucial game in a lot of ways, because we're only a game. The Lakers are only a game ahead of Golden State. So if they want to kind of get up in this play-in standings, they're going to have to get these guys down there a little bit more. And I don't have a feel for it yet. I'm going to probably not see it until I maybe get to the first quarter. And then we can probably feel one way or the other on whether they're going to be able to go to San Francisco and take that game. If they don't win the game, it's a close game. There's some positives there that you can take from it. But again, LeBron sitting after almost 2 weeks of not playing. I don't understand that really right now. I don't know what's going to make the difference in his ankle between Thursday, Friday, and then the next game after that. So I don't know. Could this be a week rest? I don't know. We're gonna find out. But if they can make it competitive tomorrow and win, or at least be in a close game or whatever, I guess we'd have to take that one, and then you have to win on Friday. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I just don't know. I don't know how to gauge it yet. I got to see how these guys. I got to see how these guys perform after their rhythm has been kind of skewed a little.
Fair enough. And again, before we go to the rookies, I wanted to ask your thoughts on LeBron James himself. We talked about, and it was mentioned by Roy and others in regards to, or One Fly as well, as far as how well the team had plays at times without LeBron in the lineup. I see this as an opportunity. If they continue to play well offensively, Joe, there's a possibility that they should go to the thing that we talked about, which was talked about by the team at the beginning of the season, playing LeBron on 28 to 30 minutes. If they continue to play well without LeBron in the lineup, is it something they should strongly consider to try saving him for the playoffs?
I don't know the answer to that, especially considering the talent that the Lakers are going to be playing against in the next few weeks. We're talking about the upper echelon teams: Oklahoma City, Denver, Minnesota, Milwaukee. It's going to be a really, 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 really strong schedule that they're going to have to go through. And they are at home, which gives them a little bit of an advantage. And their offense has been flowing very well lately. They're going to have to somehow, and I think a lot of the reasons why they've been playing well without LeBron too, and they might be doing this to see too. I don't know if they're that cagey. I guess I'm just hopefully thinking that. I don't know if they're doing this to see if they indeed can play well without LeBron, then they can use LeBron in spots the remaining 26 games. I thought about this last night, actually, while I was watching some highlights. I thought, could they be testing? Could they be seeing, hey, you know what? Get a little rest. Let's see, because after we saw them kind of smack Utah around after the middle of the third, I mean, they beat the crap out of Utah. I don't remember the Lakers beating Utah in Utah that way. In Utah, again, for those who've been a Laker fan for a long time, Utah is the bane of the Laker existence, no matter who was on the team. So the fact that they did it, not only did it in Utah, they did it on the back end of a back-to-back without one of their main guys. So I think they might be testing to see if they can win without LeBron against a formidable team. It's always formidable when you have Steph Curry on the other side. And it's another back-to-back. Yeah, San Antonio's not strong, but winning back-to-back is always good no matter who you're playing. Then they're like, hey, man, we just had 3 wilds that we covered in 3 games without LeBron. That now starts to make sense. And this is the only one of the few players that I would say you can somewhat load manage. It's just unprecedented what he's doing. He's in his 21st season. He's really got 25 seasons if you add in the playoff games as well. This guy's been playing for a quarter century when you factor in games. If there's one guy that needs the rest, yes, LeBron is the guy. There's always an exception to the rule. There's always an exception to the rule, except for a few things in life. But in sports, you play 21 years, you're still effective. You're trying to win a championship. Your depth isn't really where you want it to be. You gotta at some point figure out another way to manage those opportunities so that when prime time comes, your main asset is available and focused and able to do the job. The other thing is the reason why the team's probably playing a little bit better is, and I'm not saying their defense has gone up a couple notches, no, but LeBron's defense is pretty detrimental to team basketball usually. Especially when he doesn't get the calls from his offense, he basically lets everybody die on the vine on the other side every time that happens. And that's something that I had wished Darvin Ham would get into LeBron about. You're 3/4 of the season in this already. I think it's time you need to tell LeBron to stop bitching and whining when he doesn't get a call. We get it. You got screwed, but you're leaving your guys to die on the other side, and they score almost every time when you do that. So there's one thing I want to ask LeBron to not do. Stop doing that when you get back. Stop doing that. And if they can cover some of these little deficiencies and play better without him, then they're going to be able to save him up. Then they're going to be able to save him up a little bit. And as far as Anthony Davis is concerned, you give him more opportunity to probably secure that Defensive Player of the Year award. And I think he's close to probably being a first All-NBA guy too.
Strong statements there from Joe Soro, aka Ox1947, LakersBall.com. It is, of course, Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Joe, I just got to let you know, because of the feedback, when I talk or Stone talks, just bounces off your mic. So that's why I'm muting for now. If you got something to say, let me know, and I'll get you right on the mic. So just wanted to let you know on that. Stone, we now get to the portion which we had talked about, and that is the NBA rookies. And I know Joe and I, on a certain rookie, will go ahead and be very merciless indeed, but that comes up here in a bit. And you already know that if you've listened to the show for quite a bit. Stone, we do have right now the battle between Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama. Victor, he has been quite a bit of what I thought he would be when I saw him first in Henderson, matching up against Scoot Henderson, those teams matching up. His first glimpse, I saw him live. I thought he was the real deal. And it's funny because somebody they posted they do their own sports show, but they posted a comment the other day in regards to, I guess I blew it when they called out last year at this time, 1 year ago today, that they had said that Victor Wembanyama was not the real deal and was kind of a phony and too light, too skinny, yada, yada, yada. A year later, he is even correcting himself. So it's so funny because, again, Victor, to me, looked like the real deal. Has he progressed in the way, despite being on such a bad team in San Antonio, has he progressed the way you think he would have?
I think so. I mean, he's the most. Him and Luca for me are like tier one, like the most generational players I've ever scouted, and Victor is performing as a generational rookie. I think that's, I mean, fair to say at this point. He's not many guys put up 20 and 10 and 3 blocks a game in their rookie year. It's just not very precedented. So he's obviously on a bad team, and I think I expected that aspect of it. I think anyone who thought Victor would come in and immediately make the Spurs a 60-win team on a stacked Western Conference is a little bit, asking for too much, even if he's a generational player. But I think his individual play has warranted all the pre-draft hype that was given to him.
I think it's a clear example that you need more than one just spectacular player to make a good team.
I think so too. I think it's also an example of, I mean, you just, as great as Victor is and as transcendent a talent as he is, you shouldn't be relying on your rookie to lead you, super far in their first year. And I think I expected poor field goal percentage from him. I expected he's going to have to adapt. I mean, he came into the league as a 19-year-old. As great as he is, you're still going to have to adapt to some degree coming from France to the NBA. It's not the same league. And so I think he's pretty much right on par with what I had envisioned. I think he's actually probably shooting worse from 3 than I had thought, but I'm not really concerned about that. And I'll preface all the rookies we're going to talk about by saying you should not be putting too much stock into a rookie season unless they're playing absurdly well or absurdly bad in accordance to your expectations. Otherwise, most guys, even guys that are playing really bad, and not to jump ahead too much, but like Scoot Henderson's been pretty poor throughout his rookie season. I kind of just write that off, to be honest. It's 1 year as opposed to 2 or 3 years that we've seen prior to him. And it's going to take a long time for rookies to adapt. There's plenty of guys that have been really good their rookie season or really bad their rookie season. And over the course of 2, 3, 4 years, it ends up evening out. So people, I think, are a little too quick to jump the gun on making decisive decisions and evaluations on a player based on their rookie year. But yeah, I mean, to me, Victor, as great as Chet has been, Victor's, to me, the clear rookie of the year so far, in my opinion.
So you said you picked Chet Holmgren above him, or
Victor's.
Victor? Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing, like you said, about the shooting issues, he is 46 overall. That was the kind of surprising thing to me. I thought he would still be over 50. His 3-pointer, 32% is probably where I imagined it, at least to start off his career. 32% from 3. I think that was where I imagined. I just thought the 46 would be higher. Joe, what are your thoughts on Victor Wembanyama that you've seen so far?
I'm kind of curious to see if AD's not there, if the league doesn't vote for AD as Defensive Player of the Year, who else would be?
I think it'll be Gobert.
I think Victor. If you give another one to Rudy Gobert, at this point, what's the point? Why are you giving it to Rudy Gobert?
I'm just telling you because where they are in the standings. That's why they'll give it to him.
Okay, this is an individual award. This isn't a team award. Why do I keep hearing that BS?
They're one of the top defenses in the league, and he's anchoring it.
Okay, right. But you just said because they're in the standings. This is going back to the bad side of 30 when a guy just turns 30. That doesn't make any damn sense.
It does to me, and I say it now. I'm going to keep on saying it.
No, that has nothing to do with you.
AD is on the wrong side of 30.
Wrong side of 30 is people in their late 30s.
In the NBA, it's actually a lot sooner, my friend. But okay, it all depends on the individual.
Don't my friend me crap. Don't patronize me with that BS.
I'll patronize you when I want to.
Listen, who are you more afraid of? Who is more dominant individually on defense than AD or Victor? You think Rudy Gobert? You think Rudy Gobert has that?
With you. I'm just telling you what I hear and what I see as far as who's leading the award as far as that's concerned at this point in time, because Rudy Gobert is anchoring one of the top defenses in the league and Minnesota is at the top of the Western Conference. It plays a better scenario than the guy that's leading a 9th place team in the Western Conference.
The real question is what are the Spurs going to do here in the next few years? If we're talking about Victor,
and I'm not disagreeing with you. I think AD should be the defensive player. I'm just telling you.
No. I don't want you to agree with me.
Oh, then
I want you to look at the. I want you to look at the. I want you to look at the gameplay. Is Rudy Gobert more intimidating and dominant on defense than AD? I don't want to hear about standings and all that horse crap. They're the number. Who is the best defender in the NBA?
I'm going to statistically
because to put AD in that category, how does that make sense? You have two of the worst, actually three if you factor in LeBron. You have three of the worst defenders on the team, and that yet you're going to judge AD on that. The AD doesn't have a control. That's why it's an individual award. That's what I don't understand this logic. You know what it is? It's a bunch of people who don't watch jack squat, just looking at rebounds and numbers on a box score. That's the problem. That's the problem with that. So the question always is going to be who is actually. I mean, I watched what did AD do the other day in Utah? Did they even know what the hell was going on with their life? At some point towards the end, they're like, where? I don't know where to go. That to me is what dominance is. We get so wrapped up in numbers. Of course he's going to play well with, how many freaking first round overall picks do they have on that team? Two? Anthony Edwards and Cat. Yeah. Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad you're paying attention. And now we're looking at Victor too. Okay. I'm looking at Victor based off of what I've seen. Victor has the chance, honestly, to win like 6 of these things. And I'm maybe a little bit still irritated by the NFL Defensive Player of the Year award. You have the best defender in the NFL the last 4 seasons sitting with 1 Defensive Player of the Year award, and it took him to tie the all-time sack record to get it. And I had to watch some guy get it who had 1 mother effing sack in the last 6 games of the NFL season. There's only 17. There's only 17 games. 1 sack, you give it to that guy? So for me, these questions about, I guess, value, why does it matter in the end? Who cares? It's an individual award. No, it matters. It matters because there's a psychology to it. Okay? There's a livelihood attached to this. And livelihood, attachment, getting paid, all has psychological effects, negative or positive. All the stuff that's been going on about how, oh man, this many games and you need to get to so that you can be eligible for awards. All this stuff matters. And these guys are starting to get that, right? They're starting to get that. You're getting paid more money than anyone has ever gotten paid in this league. And yet you're still whining like little girls. I'm sorry, like Ben Simmons about oh my God, we got to play 82 games a year. And now it's starting to seep up into baseball. It always starts somewhere. You ever heard the saying? And maybe I'm going to be 46 next Friday. Maybe I'm old for some of you. But there was a saying when we grew up, okay? That's how it starts. You just keep letting it go. You just keep letting it go. Oh, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, it's okay. That's why you see a bunch of rugrats out here that have no discipline. They have no respect for their parents. They have no respect for teachers. You keep telling me it's okay here. It's okay. Well, after a while, that little space turns into an entire city. It all matters in the end. It all matters. It's an award. It doesn't mean anything for the fans and the title, but it could mean something to that player that'll allow him to go, yes, I'm the man. I got this. Yeah, I'm appreciated. That stuff matters. So I don't know.
So on
That's where
that
I'm at
note,
on that.
so on that note, Stone, as Joe said, in regards to the way people vote and perceive things, especially Rookie of the Year, you also have on the other end of the spectrum Chet Holmgren, who does not have the same kind of statistics on a personal level, but he is part of a team that's at the top of the Western Conference. Similar type scenario, which I was just discussing with Joe with the Defensive Player of the Year. I still think AD is the Defensive Player of the Year. I'm just telling him and communicating to you and him what the voters out there are thinking right now, what the odds in Vegas say. The odds in Vegas are definitely not leaning in AD's direction, and they're not leaning always in Victor Wembanyama's direction because of the fact that Chet Holmgren's out there. Your thoughts? It has eased up, and Victor has, I believe, regained the forefront as a favorite because of his sheer outstanding play, and Chet has regressed a little bit, even though the team has done well. But your thoughts on Chet Holmgren in his first year of play as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been incredible as well. Not to exactly the same degree as Victor, but I think Chet's been, I mean, awesome too, to be able to hit, what is it like? I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think last I checked is like 1.7 threes a game, and then he's still getting 2.6 blocks a game. That's pretty incredible for a rookie. Most rookies are not doing that. So, and he's highly efficient. He's shooting near 40% from three his rookie year, as a 7-footer, and is, I mean, shooting pretty well from the field. Listen, I mean, he has undeniably a much better team than Victor's right now. And I think that's helping with his offensive efficiency. Not to say that Chet is an inefficient player, but I don't think it would be quite to this level if he were on the Spurs, let's say. But I do think that and this might be something that ruffles feathers or people disagree with, but I think Victor's the better player. But in the 7-8 years I've really evaluated players, I've never seen a rim protector quite like Chet. I think Chet is probably a better rim protector than Victor, and that's not to say Victor's a bad rim protector or a bad defender. He's still elite in his own right, but I do think Chet, with his timing, the way he affects shots, it doesn't even always show up if you watch a Thunder game where he's blocking all these shots, but he'll just simply take a slide over, and guys will pass out to the 3-point line because they don't want to deal with going into the paint with Chet. And he's a force defensively, and I think he's one of the best timed rim protectors I've ever evaluated. So I think he's in for a defensive player of the year or 2 or 3 within his career as well. I mean, it's going to depend on Victor and his health, because I think Victor's probably going to win out the majority of the time. And I think a lot of it has to do with, physical attributes. I think Victor, obviously, not to say that he's unskilled defensively, but being 7'5" certainly helps if you make a mistake to be able to recover. So I think Chet, to me, is ever so slightly better defender to me, but Victor's the better player than Chet, and I think that that's going to come out over time as well. So I think I wouldn't even say I'm super impressed by both these guys. I think, and that's not to say I get everything right, because we'll talk about other players I've been wrong in as we continue on. But I think these two players are sort of playing to the level I expected headed into this year.
Joe, what are your thoughts on Chet Holmgren as far as him being a player that can dominate for the years to come? I wish he would rebound better. I mean, I think that's the problem where I see with his game right now. But otherwise, he has had a fantastic rookie season for OKC.
If he wants to rebound more, then you probably need to add a few more pounds there. I think Chet's only negative right now is he's too lanky. I think he needs to add maybe about 10, 15 pounds, and preferably below the waist. And then at that point, he can establish dominance a little bit better that way. I mean, he'll get it on the top too. It's just a matter of he probably eats too. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that he's one of those guys that probably eats like Michael Phelps and can't gain a damn pound. So that's going to come down to maturity. Chet, if he doesn't get hurt, and if Wembanyama don't get hurt, those guys are going to be Hall of Fame players. You can put that on the hanger. To answer Sunday A's question, Rondo will likely get in, although my Hall of Fame credential type decision making, I would not.
I put him at the Michael Cooper level.
And the thing is with me is Michael Cooper is not technically a Hall of Fame player. He's a phenomenal role player. He was integral in the Lakers championship dynasty. I love Coop. Absolutely love his personality, love his game, love everything about him as much as I could remember when I was a kid, but also from what I've watched in other tapes and videos. But my criteria for Hall of Famers is just different. It's just if you got injured, even I unfortunately you're going to be asked out there too. You have to be like Terrell Davis or Gale Sayers. Your 6 years has to be so dominant that even you could probably say Tracy McGrady is that guy in the NBA. He had such a dominant 6-7 year run where he gets in because he was so effective and dominant in those years. He was neck and neck with Kobe in terms of best player in the league. So that warrants something. But Rondo, I don't know. Rondo, I think Rondo. What's a good example of Rondo? Would you say he is? I don't even know who to compare him to. I'd have to think about that one. I'll get back to that. I'll get back to you on that one. The answer on in my assessment, no, but he's likely to go. He's likely to go at some point.
I just think go ahead, son.
I don't want to derail the convo too much, but I was just going to say that I don't think there's any Hall of Famers in this class personally. Even Vince Carter, I don't think is a Hall of Famer.
I agree. I actually agree with you, Stone. Really, if you really want to go the right way, in my head, you have to be the elite of the elite, not just elite. I'm talking generation. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I was.
Yeah. I butted in on that one.
No, I was just gonna say, I think the real cutoff for me, like the player to me that exemplifies like the lowest cutoff point in the type of career and accolades that they accumulated would be Pau Gasol. Like to me, that's like the very bottom on the border edge type of player I would allow into the Hall of Fame.
Well, there is one definitive Hall of Famer in this class. It's Jerry West as an executive. That I think is no doubter. That I think is a no-brainer.
I'm surprised he wasn't in earlier.
You and me both. But when it comes right down to it, it is the Lakers fast break. It is Gerald Glassford along with Joe Soro and Stone Hansen. Before we leave, I want to go ahead and note some of the other rookies that are out there. Stone, Brandon Miller has really come on for the Charlotte Hornets. Joe mentioned him when we recently played the Charlotte Hornets about how well he's progressed. He has clearly put himself ahead of Scoot. That kind of debate for now is over. I don't think it's going to be a done debate. I think at some point in time, Scoot, like you said, it's a lost season for Scoot. I just don't think you give up on Scoot just yet. I think he has certain talents that may, if given the right situation, progress to the point where that we can reignite that debate again. But for right now, number 3 on your list for Rookies of the Year should be Brandon Miller.
He's not for me, but
really, you think Triple J?
I do not think that either. I think Podziemski to me would be in the 3rd place for me. But
I put him 5th for me, but okay.
I mean, it's not locked in by any means, and there's still a third of the season left to go. But
yes.
Yeah, for Miller, I'll say this: I was lower on Miller than most people headed into the draft. I think I had him 6 or 7. Most people had him 3, and I still liked Miller quite a bit. Everyone thought I was a Miller hater, and why do you hate this kid? He's a superstar. Da da da. I stand by the fact that I still have him in that range. Again, I'm not letting one season go by, and 2 months of good basketball is not an entire season of good basketball like Chet or Victor have been playing. Miller's really come on the past couple months, and it's on the back of unsustainable shooting. I don't think he's going to be shooting 60% from 3 for his entire career. And that's not to say, again, I still really like Brandon Miller. I think he's going to be a all-star at some point in his career. I don't know if that's perennial. I don't know if that's, how many times that is, but I think he's going to be a really good player is what I'm trying to convey. But I think that I wouldn't use this past 2 months to use that as a reason to say that he should have been the third best player. If you thought that ahead of the draft, then stick by it, I think, but I wouldn't use these 2 months to use that as your argument. And I also would still say that it was a mistake to take him over Scoot at this point in time. And people are going to be like, yeah, but Brandon's playing much better. And while that is true, again, it's a rookie year on the back of unsustainable shooting. And I think that you have to give guys, especially at the top, you have to give them 2-3 years, ideally, really, maybe even 4 sometimes, to really get a grasp on these guys. If you base rookie seasons, especially for the top guys, lottery guys, that to say on their rookie year, you're going to be in for a whirlwind. I mean, there's guys like Chris Duarte that were putting up like 14 points a game his rookie year. Now he's not even in the rotation for the Sacramento Kings. I mean, you cannot base rookie seasons as the projection for entire careers unless it's outlierishly good like Victor or Chet, or outlierishly bad for other guys, and even less so in terms of the bad spectrum. So that's sort of where I'm at with Miller. I think he's going to be a very good player. I still just am not quite there with the third best player in this class.
Joe, who are some of the other rookies that have stood out to you this season?
You really want that answer?
Yeah, well, let me say this. We'll deal with the JHS issue last. I think that's something we'll deal with last. I think Stone, myself, and you will have plenty to say on that front. But go ahead, my friend. Who has stood out to you this season in their first rookie year? We lost your voice. There.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can't. You're back.
Okay, sorry guys. I'm on a phone and I probably shouldn't be doing this. This is probably the last time I'll do this because I get text messages literally every 30 seconds, and sometimes I'll get calls too, so I have to ignore them. But Lively, number 1, Triple J, Miami, Cam Whitmore have been the 3 that have really kind of, and I think a lot of it is the fact that we were looking at Lively, and I think if Lively had stayed at 17 or was able to drop to 17, I think that would have been our guy. And then, of course, the guys that were picked right after 17, and then, of course, Cam Whitmore. I think those are the 3 that I think in the long run, because of their, number 1, their talent, number 2, their situation. Triple J's in Miami. He's going to only get better as long as he doesn't get injured. Cam Whitmore, if there isn't any debilitating injury issues with him that they were suspecting, and obviously his attitude was a little bit of an issue as well. If those things don't become a problem, he's going to be a star, I believe. And then, of course, Lively, man, we could have used him next to AD, man. And that one, unfortunately, we didn't have a shot at. But I see him being a 10, 12, year player, if not more. I'd say those are the 3 that I've enjoyed watching playing.
Okay, fair enough. So Stone, one last thing before we get into obviously our picks. When it comes right down to it, 2, 3.
I'm gonna head out, G.
Okay,
So I'm gonna head out.
Thanks, Joe.
Good show. I'll be back tomorrow. Those of you who want nightcap, it's coming back tomorrow night, and we'll see you. We'll see you then.
You got it. Thanks, Joe.
Take care, guys.
You too.
Take care.
Always mocking me. But anyways, I do want to go ahead and make sure, Stone, you get in some love for Podziemski because he is your number 3 right now. He has played a key role supplanting Klay Thompson in the starting lineup. That's not a big feat indeed. I mean, that will be the answer to a trivia question at some point in time down the road. Your thoughts on Brandon Podziemski? What do you feel that his level can be at as an NBA player?
I mean, this might surprise people, but I think all-star, really. Like, I think he's a very good player. I think he affects winning quite a bit. I mean, this is he's I mean, probably the second best player right now on the Warriors, I would say. I don't think that's really a stretch to say. Um, I mean, over the last, what is it, like 12 games or so, he's averaging like close to like 8 assists and 7 boards. The shooting's been a little bit up and down, but for the most part, I think, that's expected of a rookie. But um, yeah, I think it's just a player that really impacts winning in a multitude of ways. I think he's a really good passer, rebounder, probably the best rebounding guard I've ever evaluated. So yeah, I'm even surprised by him, and I was one of the highest people on him pre-draft, and I'm surprised that he's as far as he is right now, that he is currently. Lively's really impressed me. Someone I was actually lower on. I missed on him a little bit. Um, I think he is in the perfect situation in Dallas where, uh, I mean, really the offense is spoon fed to him in a way because you have probably the best passer in the league with Luka, and Kyrie taking a lot of the offensive pressure off. But he's really been, awesome defensively. I'm not going to take away from that. So he was probably a miss for me at this point, I would say. Whitmore is about what I expected, to be honest. I had him as the 5th best player in this class, and I think he's living up to that. So I'm not. I wouldn't say he's impressed me because he's just doing what I expected, if that makes sense. So it's not really like something that's blowing me away. Um, I think Asar Thompson is someone that's really impressed me. And uh, if those that remember that were listening to the show before the draft, I had a big separation
Playing in
between.
Detroit, by the way, not the
Yes,
not the Houston.
that's the Detroit one. I had a
Amen.
big separation between him and Amon, like a 20 spot gap between them. And I think the Amon is still going to be the better player. And as of the past couple weeks, Amon started to really turn it on. And this final third stretch of the NBA season is where you're going to see a lot of these rookies get more time and coaches give them a longer
Amen
leash.
recently got into the starting lineup for Houston.
Yeah, and I think you're really going to see him explode probably this final third of the season. And I think Asar has really impressed me. I think I was wrong about him. And um, we've seen him get jerked around in the Pistons lineup, and he's on a terrible team. It's a terrible context, and still his defense is like elite already in his rookie year. He's been an amazing defender, and I think Almond's going to be even better, not only defensively but with the ball in his hands. He can do more. So I think you're going to see those guys explode. Keontae George has handled what Utah has given him fairly well, I think, but I'm still confident that I had him in the right place as a late first round pick because despite the point explosions that he has here and there, he's still shooting sub 40% from the field. This is sort of what I expected from him, and I think I expect from him for the rest of his career. Not quite sub 40%, but a poor field goal percentage guy who I think is going to be. He's going to have his place in the league, but I think a lot of the big point explosions are going to be somewhat empty calories. That's sort of what I see with Keontae in his rookie season and kind of what I had thought pre-draft. Jaime Jaquez has really impressed me. I think this is a good example of a player who, not to take too much away from the rookie season, because I do think I've been rooting for Jaime. Local kid, hometown Mexican kid. We don't get many of those in the league. I'm Mexican, even though I don't look like it. So I'm not just saying that. But so Jaime is someone I really root for, but he's not going to be someone that I think is going to be the level of player he's shown in his rookie, or people that have expectations for him moving forward as this top 3 or 4 guy on a team. I think he's going to be a really solid high-end role player, but I don't think he's going to be quite this level of player for the entirety of his career. So those are the guys I think that stand out to me the most in terms of what they've shown their rookie year. And like I said, it's one season. Some of these guys are probably going to be worse as years go by, and guys I didn't mention are going to probably come onto the scene in a big way over the next couple of years as well. So we can't get to every single person, but I think there's going to be, the more to show throughout the coming years than just this rookie season.
GG Jackson, Trace Jackson Davis, those two have played really well for the time that they've been given. TJD has come off the bench for the most part for Golden State, and in limited minutes given them a lot of good lift. Jordan Hawkins has also played well as well, but GG Jackson in recent games for Memphis down there near where you're at, he's impressed for a guy that was a late second round pick. Your thoughts on GG Jackson before we really get into it with our picks?
Yeah, I was someone that was very out on GG before the draft, and I think that he is someone that, to me, looks like someone that can stick in the league, which is more than I had, expected headed into the draft. I think you're also looking at a team that is desperate for offense. I mean, this team is decimated by injuries right now. They have absolutely nothing going on, and GG is a raw offensive talent who's providing that for them. But on a fully healthy team, on a good team, I don't think we'd see this level of play from GG. And that's not me trying to hate on the kid. He's still super young, and there's a lot of time for him to grow and develop. But I don't think this is necessarily exemplary of the sort of opportunity that's going to always exist for GG in his game. Just because, you're dealing with the most decimated team in the league right now, and he's getting a ton of opportunity and he's making the most of it, which congratulations to him. And hopefully it continues. I think that it's a bit overlooked how depleted the Grizzlies are at this point in time.
So before we head on out, we have our own draft picks, both in the first and the second round. And Joe and I have made it a point and issue to remind our audience out there about the poor decisions that were made in regards to the Lakers. Now, mind you, they've made several good draft picks over the course of the past few years. They've filled out the rosters of many a team with all the rotation players that they've added to the league, and credit the Lakers for that. Although they haven't retained many of those rotation players. Some of it was given away, obviously, in the Anthony Davis trade. Some of them they just let go or traded away. Your thoughts on the latest? Eric. If you go back to our coverage on that day for the NBA draft, we were all screaming for Cam or other options. None of us were actually asking for JHS, and you immediately pounced on how bad a pick that was in JHS, and it has not gotten any better. This could be something that really hurts the team long term if he and Maxwell Lewis, who a lot of people still have high hopes on, even though I have not yet to see it materialize out on the court.
Yeah,
this could be a real problem for the organization going forward if neither one of those two become a good rotation player.
Yeah, so I'll start with JHS. I think that's the bigger miss, right? If they miss, I don't think you should be depending your franchise on the 40th pick in the draft, because I think
it all depends on how much. Well, remember they did move up and pay money to get him.
Yeah, correct.
Did they trade second round pick, or was it for cash?
I think it was just cash.
Okay, yeah. I know cash was for Max Christie. I know that they moved up.
To me that was a mistake as well.
Yeah,
but so I'll start with JHS. I had him as a lower rated prospect than Max Lewis to begin with. I think that, and I still think that. But again, I'm not taking away much from rookie season, especially from two guys that haven't even played. So, and I think people had too high expectations off the bat for these guys coming into the league. Where the Lakers, we expect immediate, success just in general. And I think that you're asking too much of that for a pick at 17 of JHS, and it's not JHS's fault that he got picked that high. I don't want to put blame on him. It's the organization's fault that they picked him that high. I was rooting for, I really wanted Cam Whitmore or Podziemski. I think either of those guys I would have been extremely happy with, and I had them both as top 10 picks in my board. Very, anyway, talked about them enough. But JHS, very out on the whole draft. Most people had him as a top 20 guy. I think I had him like 35 to 40, somewhere in there. I thought I saw him as a second rounder, someone I had zero interest taken in the first round. They took him. I think he's a bad athlete. I think he's a bad shooter. I think he's a bad defender. I still think all those things. I think all those things can be true, while at the same time, you could be asking for too much of him in his rookie year as a 19-year-old. I think that I think best case scenario, he's a backup guard. Hopefully I'm wrong on that, but I think expecting a rookie to really carry you or be an integral part of your rotation in their first season is asking too much for almost any rookie unless you're at the very top. So that's sort of where I land with that. With Max Lewis, I ultimately think it's a mistake to spend millions to get a player in the second round. Just in general, as a principle, I think that's a mistake. I was against it when he did it with Max Christie. And Max Christie, I was very out on as a player as well. I still am. I don't think he's an NBA player. With Max Lewis, I thought he had potential to be an NBA player, and I still do think he has potential to be an NBA player. He's been very poor this season. I even in my write-up pre-draft with him, I said it's going to be probably 2 years minimum before he touches an NBA floor. I just think that he's a very raw player. He's going to take a lot of time to develop. Most of his time should be spent in the G League for the first 2 years of his career. If he turns out to be something out of that, great. If not, it is what it is. And I think that taking him in the second round you're not missing out too much value, I think, as much as you are at 17 with JHS. I don't really care how much the Lakers spent on him because it's coming out of their pocket, and I don't really care about their finances. I only care about mine, really. So I don't care how much it costs them. They should be spending money to make the team better, but I think it was a mistake to financially put that towards a player that isn't going to make you better. And realistically, you shouldn't be at or thinking you're going to get any value out of for the first 2 years of his career. And spending that sort of money on a player like that, I think, is putting a lot of pressure on them unfairly. And I think it's going to be a while before we see either of them pay any dividends. And I think with JHS specifically, it's more frustrating because it's a top 20 pick, not a top 40 pick. That's a big difference there. And the players taken directly after them, to me, were very clearly much better than what you took at 17.
Before we head on out, I wanted to bring in the guy who is such a great part of what we're doing here at the Lakers Fast Break. It is LakerNic. LakerNic, great to have you here. I wanted to have you have put in your 2 cents on this whole debacle so far as our draft picks are concerned. Your thoughts on JHS and Maxwell Lewis before we head on out, LakerNic.
Yeah, Gerald, and salute Stone. It's great to have you on. I completely agree with Stone. Obviously, if there's someone whose opinion I trust when it comes to prospects and draftees and the entire NBA player selection process, it has to be Stone. Yeah, I mean, with JHS and some of the other draft picks that we got this year, it's fair to say that they've been underwhelming. But their underwhelming performance unfortunately hasn't been unexpected. We've seen JHS get spot minutes, maybe 1 to 2 minutes per game, really minimal gameplay. He's been out with injuries as well. I don't really know what his future is. I don't know if he's moved this summer, if what his value is if he is moved. It's just a very strange situation that JHS finds himself, where he's a draft pick that, sure, he isn't a top 5, top 10 pick, but when you're taking that high, I'm not sure if he should be performing the way that he is. To be fair to JHS, I'm not obviously a fan of his game, but to be fair to him, it's not like he's playing 20, 25 minutes per game. So I'll just, give him that as a benefit of the doubt that maybe down the line in a team that's probably not the Lakers and he's able to get actually some gameplay, then we'll see what he really has. But at this point, I don't see much of a future, to put it bluntly.
Let me say this, Nick, before we head on out, is you mentioned that he's not playing 20, 25 minutes a game. The Lakers, with the Gabe Vincent injury, had an opening, a wide opening for a backup point guard. Yet at never any point in time did they really seriously consider putting JHS into that slot and giving him that chance to go ahead and contribute. They see him on a regular basis. They see him in the G League. They see him as far as and evaluate him. Does that also speak to where he is as far as his development? If they won't even give him a shot when circumstances dictate they can, and rightly, if it was another player in that spot that plays at the point guard level, could have done a better job at doing.
No, you're exactly right, Gerald. It not only speaks to, as you mentioned, JHS's talent or lack of talent, but it obviously also speaks to the coaching staffs or even the Lakers management view of JHS after they've had some months to observe him, to see him in practices, to see him play, even though his playing time has been relatively minimal. And JHS, he is a rookie, but even though he may not be very talented, I'm sure he's not a dumb player, right? And I'm sure he senses, unfortunately, maybe the lack of confidence that, as I mentioned, the Lakers management or the Lakers coaching staff hasn't on his gameplay or his future or his potential. And so, from just if you want to call it mental standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if JHS is a bit down on the organization or what his playing time has turned out to be so far this season, which has been close to zero.
Nick, great to have you here. Joe Soro, thank you as well. Truly appreciate everyone in the chat. Some great thoughts and contributions as well for the best Lakers chat minutes out there. Lakers Fast Break. Stone, we started off with you, my friend. Any last thoughts on the rookies or the Lakers tomorrow before we head on out?
I think I got everything off my chest that I wanted to. So yeah, I'm just looking forward towards tomorrow. Anytime we get to watch basketball is a good day. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right. Well, once again, it is Stone Hansen and LakerNic along with Joe Soro as well. This is Gerald Glassford. Go ahead and make sure you catch us tomorrow, starting with the pregame. Going into the full game, it is our simulcast. Once again, to remind you, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break or simulcasted to our YouTube and Facebook channels. Then afterwards, it is the best post game around for the Lakers, and that is the Lakers Fast Break. And then topping your night off is a nightcap with Joe Soro. Nobody tops your evening more or better than Joe Soro will at 11 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. So great to have you here. Looking forward again to having you part of what we're doing at the Lakers Fast Break. If you've not yet liked and subscribed, please do so. It is imperative that you do, because you'll get the latest notifications on when we go live once again with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast.